New reporting from the Wall Street Journal alleges that Elon Musk plans to take Twitter public again in as soon as 3 years. Now, according to the Journal, Musk has been talking to private equity firms about injecting much-needed cash into the social media platform.
This comes as major corporations such as Coca-Cola, Disney, and Kraft are facing major pressure to boycott Twitter should Musk choose to roll back the platform's content moderation policies limiting disinformation.
As reported by CNN, more than 24 civil society groups addressed the companies in a joint letter, writing, quote, "As top advertisers on Twitter, your brand risks association with a platform amplifying hate, extremism, health misinformation, and conspiracy theorists. Your ad dollars can either fund Musk's vanity project or hold him to account." Oh, gosh.
Who are those people?
I mean,
pretty obnoxious, yeah.
Anything that's an opposing view now has been labeled as hate, extremism, disinformation, misinformation. And this is the problem. This is why Elon Musk is trying to take back Twitter and why so many people are championing it, because they're saying, finally, we need somebody to go in there and say, you can't just label anything you don't agree with as some sort of extremism that must be silenced and censored. I don't know why Democrats have adopted this sort of censorship czar authoritarian position.
Yeah, at least wait for him to do something first. I mean, he hasn't even done the thing.
Right. If they could point to a specific example and be like, oh, here is something, here's a policy, or here's now a kind of content that is more frequent on Twitter that we think is bad and we don't like this change. But they can't even point to anything like that yet,
right.
Which forces us to go backward and look at, so you mean you want more of like Hunter Biden laptops type stuff taken down, or lab leak type stuff taken down. Just moderation decision. I always bring those two up because they're, to my mind, the most prominent examples of bad social media calls that were influenced by the very same kind of disinformation experts, supposedly former federal law enforcement, intelligence analysts, those kinds of people who were wrong. And so, why is that? Why do we want to close off social media more to those kinds of things? Sure, nasty, really nasty harassment, spamming type stuff. We don't want to see more of that. I don't think Elon Musk wants to see more of that.
It exists
now.
We live in a world where there are all these violence prohibitions, but it was completely okay over the last couple of months to say you wanted to draw and quarter a Russian and hang him up by a flagpole. Like that kind of speech was not being censored, and it's all politically motivated. That's why people have no confidence in the thing currently. At very least, let him violate some norm before you decide to frame him as this, because of what's happening is that people are forced to defend him. I don't want to be in a position. Frankly, I have no high aspirations for what he's actually going to do and how Twitter is going to change. I'm not confident the way that so many people are that it's going to necessarily change for the better. But I really would rather not be in a position of having to defend him the way I am now, because he actually hasn't done anything that he's been accused of.
I'm sitting here with my laptop open. I have Twitter open. Someone just tweeted at me like a disgusting picture. I blocked them. Done. Like I don't need that account banned or moderated or shielded from me. I just blocked them. Done. Yeah. Over. Taken care of.
Yeah.
There's no new policy or different policy.
Yeah. Do you guys think that these big companies like Coca-Cola, Disney, Kraft, do you think they're going to cave to this? I mean, it's kind of interesting. We've seen sort of the woke mentality go into these corporations, and it makes me wonder, where does this lead? So, like, if, for example, Coca-Cola says, all right, well, we can't be involved with a platform that's going to disseminate hate and extremism. So will Coca-Cola, does this lead to a point where Coca-Cola says we're not going to sell our products in Alabama, for example, or because we don't agree with people? I mean,
I think that would be pretty foolish. They have to be all companies should be looking at the Disney DeSantis feud, right, and saying to themselves, we don't need to get super involved in, which is kind of an interesting reversal, actually, of historic. We've been talking a lot lately about moving further right or moving further left, or how the parties have done that. Because Elon Musk, shared that picture on Twitter saying, well, the left has moved a lot farther left, the right hasn't moved that much. And this is an example where, the right, if anything, has almost moved. It's kind of confusing, but has not moved more right. They're less in favor of corporate speech and corporate rights than they were before. It used to be like a very kind of conservative Republican, maybe like Mitt Romney circa 2012 opinion that corporate speech is valid and we don't want to limit corporate advocacy in the political process, and now Republicans don't want corporate advocacy in the political process whatsoever.
Well, I just want to clarify, and to your point, Kim, I don't think that they're going to bend the knee. I don't think that any corporations are going to withdraw, because they never do anything because of wokeness. They do things because it affects their bottom line. To the extent that they lose customers and their brand is tarnished by going so against what the popular trends are, they will bend the knee and do something that's so-called woke, but it's not coming from anybody's goodness of anybody's heart. I just recently watched, I don't know if you guys saw the Abercrombie and Fitch documentary on Netflix, and they had years and years of horrible, illegal, discriminatory practices where they were basically giving you like an Aryan test before you could come and work for the company. And everybody knew and nobody cared until culture shifted enough that it suddenly became distasteful to have these discriminatory hiring practices, to put minorities in the back rooms, to have t-shirts with stereotypes about racial groups.
White people?
Yeah, they hired for the front of their store. They were hiring only, I was going to say Abercrombie models.
I thought they were discriminating against not super attractive people.
Well, that's the cover that they used for it. But the very attractive people who weren't white working in the back disagreed. But the point is that when the hammer fell on them, when the culture shifted enough that they couldn't make money anymore selling T-shirts with racist stuff about Asian Americans on them.
Right. Well, but there was, last year when Georgia had the voting rights bill and a lot of companies started boycotting and wanting to leave Georgia. We saw that. We also see, of course, with the war with Russia and Ukraine, a lot of companies abandoning Russia. So I do think actually companies are heading down this path of the public pressure and wanting to appear like they're on the right side of an issue, that they are actually starting to punish everyday citizens by saying, then we're not going to sell in your area. We even saw that. What was it? It was I feel like there's another example. Was it an ice cream one where they said, how dare you sell? It was Ben & Jerry's. People were like trying to get Ben & Jerry's. They were trying to boycott Ben & Jerry's because Ben & Jerry's started boycotting the West Bank settlements, right, in Israel, and so people were upset about that. So we do see it, and sometimes you might agree with it. Like, for example, I might agree with Ben & Jerry's and them wanting to boycott selling in illegal settlements in the West Bank. But then there's, other ones that maybe I don't agree with, where it's like because of a voting rights law being passed in Georgia, companies like Coca-Cola say, I don't know, maybe we need to hightail it out of here or something. So I don't know. I kind of feel like that trend is starting to happen.
Yeah, I said this yesterday, but I'm really concerned we're just going to get to a point where if you're part of Team Red, this is your cola company. If you're part of Team Blue, this is yours. And that just seems very unhealthy for modern society to go in that direction with literally everything. And also then what cola brand am I supposed to drink as someone who doesn't neatly fit into or agree with all the perspectives of either side? I guess we'll need a third
water is good for you, Robbie. It's God's juice.
No, I don't drink a lot of water. I do drink a lot of Diet Coke. Do not drink a lot of water.
I don't know if you're going to be able to get that Diet Coke.
A lot of wine.
Well, anyway, what if wine goes woke, Robbie?
Right. What's that? What?
Said you better hope wine doesn't go woke.
That would be a huge tragedy. An institution lost. All right, we'll be back with more Rising right after this.